Really, I think it's just on camera.
But I couldn't realize. I find the smaller version of yourself. Oh my God. Oh my God. She just, okay. You can turn off your mic. Okay. As the name suggests, and as you can see on the screen, the fixed cost. These are the costs that are completely independent of output. That means they are not related to output. Total fixed cost data, total fixed cost data when drawn on a graph would appear as a horizontal line, horizontal straight line parallel to x-axis. If I show you to this, if you see this, the black line you can see on the screen, this total fixed cost line. That is, fixed cost, as the name suggests, it is fixed. The output is on the x-axis and the costs are on the y-axis. So, for example, this is 10. So, it will be always 10, irrelevant to the output. When the output is 0, at the time also it is 10, and when output is 100, it is also 10. So, which does not change, this does not vary, does not get altered or modified with the output. And that's why it is said that they are the costs that are completely independent of output. Total fixed cost data, when drawn on a graph, would appear as a horizontal straight line. At zero output, any cost, at zero output, any cost that a firm must be paying, that a firm must be, that cost must be the fixed cost. Some firm operate in a situation where the fixed costs represent a large proportion of the total. For example, if you are going for a infrastructure project or thermal plants, energy generation plant, where your fixed cost is a huge and large cost, large proportion of the total cost. In this case, it would be wise to produce a large output in order to reduce unit cost and so make the firm more efficient. Here they say that if your fixed cost is very high, then you will have to produce higher amount of output. For example, as I was talking earlier about the thermal plant or electricity generation plant, in that case, the installation of machineries and the capital employed in the project is very big, and it is fixed whether you make production or whether you don't make the production. The cost is there. For example, just now in March to 22nd March last year, we closed down the classes which is downstairs in the next to that turquoise where you used to come. Now, though there is not a single class held over there after 22nd March 2020, but can Ashwin sir go to the landowner and can tell him that अरे मेरा तो क्लास में कोई स्टूडेंट आता ही नहीं है, so you don't take the rent? Will it be possible? He will take rent or he will not take rent? Okay. And when the classes were in full swing, when the classes were in full swing, you all children used to come. At that time also he was paying the rent. Just now there is a no output, no classes are being held. Then also he's supposed to pay the rent. So rent is a fixed cost. It is not related to the output. Which does not change with the output is called fixed cost. And now coming to the variable cost, these include all the costs that are directly related to the underline this, the costs that are directly related to the level of output. That means a labor cost or raw material cost. The usual one being labor and raw material or component cost. In other words, variable costs are incurred directly in the production process. For example, now electricity charges. Now, as the classes are not going on, so there is a no electricity consumption in the class, no AC, no electricity, nothing is there. So the electricity charges are zero. Telephone charges are zero because there is no output. The same way in the production also, the cost which are directly related to the output are called variable cost. And this cost, as the output increase, variable cost increase. Now, if you see down, see this red line you can see, red curved line, it is the variable cost. At zero output, it is zero. And as the output goes on increasing, the total variable cost, that is red line, also goes on increasing. Okay. And the final now you are going to get is fixed cost, the costs that are independent of output, and variable costs that are directly related with the output. All costs are variable costs in the long run. For example, what is the definition of short run and long run? In short run, at least one cost will be variable cost and one cost will be fixed cost. In long run, all the costs are variable cost. In long run, all the costs are variable. There is nothing, which are the costs? Which are the payment of factors of production. That is land, you pay rent. Labor, you pay wages. Capital, you pay interest. And entrepreneur, you pay profit. These are the costs which are incurred by the enterprise. In the short run, there is one fixed cost, minimum, and minimum one variable cost. But in long run, all the costs are variable cost. Now, important definition for you, Princess, is total cost is equal to total fixed cost plus total variable cost. Any doubt about this? Total cost will be fixed cost plus variable cost. So now see, remember this. If you see on the screen, bacha, the blue line is the total cost. That is starting from where total fixed cost is starting. Variable cost starts from the point zero. And if you have noticed that total fixed cost, which is a black line, which is parallel to x-axis, and total cost and total variable cost, they are also parallel to each other. The distance between the total cost and total variable cost at any point of time, at any production point, they are equal. Am I right? Why? Why the distance between total cost and total variable cost is constant at each and every output level? Why? Because the difference between total cost and total variable cost is equal to what?
Total cost.
The difference between the total cost and total variable cost.
Difference. I heard addition.
What the
Fixed
distance
cost.
is?
Total fixed
Exactly right, bacha. And fixed cost is constant, and that's why that is the distance between the total cost and total variable cost is always constant because it is fixed cost. Got it? Okay. Now coming to the another part which you are always now going to talk about whenever you are talking about any prices, any cost that you will be talking about. So you're going to talk about this. That is, further cost measures can be derived. They are average fixed cost, average variable cost, and average total cost. Whenever you have to find out the average, whatever average you want to find out, you have to divide by output. So total fixed cost divided by output is equal to average fixed cost. Total variable cost divided by output is the total variable cost. And total cost divided by output, it is average total cost. So you got AFC, AVC, and ATC. That is average cost. Okay. We have learnt about in the marginal cost also that marginal cost is the additional to the one addition to the total cost when making one extra unit. Marginal cost means, for example, up till now you have produced 100 umbrella and you are going to produce 101st one umbrella. So the additional one unit that you are going to produce and whatever the cost incurred on that, that will be called marginal cost. For example, 100 umbrella, you have paid 1000 rupees. And for 101st umbrella, the cost which is borne by you as a producer is 11 rupees. 111. The total cost become 111. So the marginal cost is 11 rupees, which is cost of an addition to the total cost while making one extra unit of umbrella. And therefore a variable cost. These cost measures are shown in 7.8. Now, if you focus on this 7.8, this is the average cost, average fixed cost, sorry. Then total average variable cost, average total cost, this is blue line, and black line is marginal cost. We have seen this while allocating allocative efficiency and productive efficiency. Marginal cost, the average total cost that we have seen. Now, always remember, if you are talking about a fixed cost, it will be always a constant line parallel to x-axis. But if you talk about average fixed cost will always go on falling down. I'll tell you, I will find out one second, I will find out for that purpose to you another example for you. Have you done this fixed cost and all that matter in AS level?
Not in depth.
Okay, no issue. We will do it. We will do it. Now, I will go here. Yeah. Mm. Mm. Just 1 second, I will be showing you all the details. Mm. Not yes, yes. 232. Mm. Mhm. Okay, no issue. We will open another one, which is going to give you the detailed explanation about cost. Showing grant. When your school is going to start vacation, bacha?
Vacations have already started.
Oh, so up till what?
Till
Date you are having?
31st. Just let me check 1 second.
Yeah, I'm opening the
It's
total
this whole
cost.
month. So
Wow. But I'm sorry also, I feel sorry about the children because they can't go out,
yeah,
they can't do anything and all that.
it's
So
sad.
it's sad that you can't go out.
We have break till 31st May. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I got. Hmm, I got it. Okay. Now I'm gonna to share you the screen in which you have understood what is total fixed cost, and total variable cost, right? Now output is also given. Now can you find out total fixed cost, total variable cost? See, when output is zero, your total variable cost will be,
0.
right, you are. Okay. I will go on writing that. This is zero. Now, when total cost is equal to what? What is the formula of total cost?
60. So the total fixed cost is also 60.
Yeah, exactly right, Princess. That's wonderful. So proud of you. This will be 60. And always remember, whether the output is 0 or whether the output is 6, it will be 60 only because it's a parallel line. Now,
I'm kind of confused.
okay, turn off your mic. Turn off your mic. See, we have seen that fixed cost, for example, on the x-axis there is cost and here there is output. Here there is output and here there is cost, right? Now, here this is your total fixed cost. I'm not writing everything, I'm just writing this FC. So when the output is 0 here, at that time also it is 60. And when the output is 100 or 200 or output is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, also it will remain 60 only, na? Because it is parallel to x-axis. So always total fixed cost remains constant in short run, because in long run, as I was telling you, bacha, all the costs are variable cost. Now, you have to identify what will be the variable total this cost, total variable cost. Now here it will be in the
One.
when the output is 1,
Then we'll have to do 110 minus 60, right?
right you are.
Okay. 90 and then capital.
Okay, so here we say that as the when the output is zero, your total variable cost is zero, and as it goes on increasing, this will go on increasing. This is your variable cost. And if you must have seen, Bacha, if the total fixed cost, when the total fixed cost was 60, so your total cost was also 60 because of that 60. So when the output was zero, total cost was here 60, and it goes on increasing. Oh, sorry, ये क्या हो गया? ऐसे कैसे हो गया? हाथ हिल गया मैडम. Uh, oh, oh. Uh, because I'm drawing with this mouse now, so it, and your this is your total cost. What will be the average cost? Average cost is equal to, we have seen the formula just now, bacha. Not here. We have seen it here. Here. What is average cost formula? Average total, the total cost divided by output. So if we go there, it is here that it says that what is my total cost? Total average cost is equal to 6 total cost divided by output.
So it's 0.
Yeah. No, this is infinity. Anything divided by 0. Then it is.
Okay, infinite.
Now see, the average cost is 110.
110 divided by 1 is 110.
Yeah. Then it is 75.
Yeah.
And like that, if you go on this way, then it comes to 60. I will have to write down all these because I will have to show you something that 60, then it becomes 50, then it becomes how much it will be? 230 divided by 5. 46.
46.
And this is
50.
now see the beauty of average fixed cost. Your average fixed cost is total fixed cost divided by output. Also, this will be 0. 60 divided by 1. 60. Then 30. Then 60 divided by 3, 20. 15. This is 12. And this is 10. So what we have learned that here when we say that if you are only talking about fixed cost, it is a parallel line. Parallel is means horizontal line which is parallel to x-axis. When the output is 0, then also fixed cost is there, but that fixed cost does not change. But if you see about average fixed cost, bacha, average fixed cost always, as the output goes on increasing, average fixed cost goes on decreasing. 60, 30, 20, 15, 12, and 10. Now, total cost always goes on increasing as the output increasing. The only thing that you should be knowing about that, total cost is equal to total fixed cost plus total variable cost. And variable cost also goes on increasing with the increase in output. But the only thing is that when the output is 0, that means what are the variable costs? For example, labor cost or component cost. If you are not going to produce anything, you are not going to use your raw material, you are not going to use your labors. So there will be no labor payment. So when the output is 0, variable cost is 0. And as the output goes on increasing, variable cost also goes on. If you see the blue line here, variable cost also goes on increasing. In our this one, here you have seen, 1 second. You can see our book 7.7. So in this case, bacha, black line is your total fixed cost, red line is your total variable cost, and blue line is there. But now if you see the average cost is always falling down. Total average fixed cost will always fall down from this way. Average variable cost will be a little U-shaped. Average total cost will also, ATC will also be the U-shaped, and marginal cost will be below this and will be cutting average total cost at the optimum level that we have seen in the last.
Could you repeat that? Sorry, I was
Okay.
distracted.
No issue, no issue. You have you understood the curve shape of the total
Yes,
cost?
I understood. I understood
Very good.
7.7.
Okay, now
It's 7.8.
7.8 says, bacha, it says about average cost, average fixed cost, average variable cost, average total cost, and marginal cost. There's 4 costs that we are looking at it. So average fixed cost always drops down. It goes on, as you increase the output, it falls down. Average variable cost and average total cost, they have a U shape. It first it decreases with the output, but then it increases. Total cost, average total cost is the summation of average fixed cost and average variable cost. And because there is a sharp fall in average fixed cost, average total cost also have a sharp fall, but big after that, it goes on increasing with average variable cost. These are the shape of average fixed cost, average variable cost, and average total cost. Only thing, marginal cost. Marginal cost is the cost incurred by a firm for producing an additional unit to the total output. So marginal cost will always, initially it will drop down, and as you increase in the output, marginal cost will initially drop down, and after reaching to that minimum level, it will increase and it will cut total cost from the below. It will intersect average total cost from the below. That you are supposed to remember. That's all. Okay. Now, the most important cost curve for the firm will be average total cost. The most important that you are going to use in the all the chapters 7, 8, 9, 10, that is average total cost you are going to use. Showing the cost per unit of any chosen output, at any output, what will be the cost bared by the firm, incurred to the firm, that is the average total cost. For most firms, the decision to increase output will raise the total cost. If you are going to see, if you have seen average total cost, so whenever the firm wants to increase output, they will have to increase the variable cost will increase, as you have seen here. Here you have seen variable cost 0, 15, 90, 120, 147, 172. So as you go on increasing the output, variable cost is going to go increase. So your total cost will also increase. Here they say that whenever firm wants to increase the output, it is going to increase the cost. That is, the marginal cost will be positive as extra inputs are used. Inputs means a more factor of production, labor or capital or land or enterprise you are going to use. The marginal cost will be positive. It will go on adding up. Firms will only be keen to do this when the expected sale revenue will outweigh the extra cost. This is the most important line, underline it. Firms will only be keen to add the cost if the sales revenue will outweigh the extra cost. That means here they want to say that if you remember, MC is equal to MR, marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. Okay. So what is my cost that I'm incurring to produce one additional item? For example, I am producing this bottle. And if this bottle is costing additional bottle, I have already produced 100 bottle and I am producing this additional bottle. Now this additional bottle is costing me 15 rupees. So I am ready to produce additional output only if the revenue which will be generated, marginal cost you seen that is 15 rupees. But if the marginal revenue of that particular individual item is more than marginal cost, then I'm ready to do it. Or that means the firm's highest production, if the firm wants to survive, if firm wants to make profit, they will produce the quantity where MC is equal to MR, not above that. Okay. Firms will only be keen to do this when the expected sales revenue, that is MR, will outweigh the extra cost. Raising marginal cost is also a reflection of the law of diminishing return. See, marginal cost. See, as I go on increasing the output, here the output is increasing, my marginal cost is increasing. Every, every additional unit that I'm going to produce is going to cost more to the firm. Are you understanding it, Bacha? Following it? As I go on increasing the output, it is going to increase the cost for me. So it is the diminishing return. And this diminishing returns cause the marginal and average variable cost to rise as shown in 7.8. No, sorry. As more of the variable factors are added to the fixed cost, the contribution of each extra worker to the total output will begin to fall. As you are going to more and more worker, you are going to increase. And when you are talking about the cost incurred of extra worker, which you are going to hire, so they will have diminishing return. That you already understood that marginal return here. I'll show you. Here you have understood. As you go on using more and more utility data, total utility will increase, but marginal utility will go on decreasing. So the marginal revenue also, the cost initially it is falling down, but then it goes on increasing. Total cost also goes on increasing. And because this, if you see the black line, which is the marginal cost, and if you see the average cost line, which is the blue line, it is always rising after that. After a point where MC is equal to MR, after that it start rising, and their average total cost, this will be the turning point for the business or for the firm to have to decide what the production or what should be the output of the product that they are making. The shape of the short run average total cost is the result of interaction between the average fixed cost and average variable cost. This shape, as I told you, this shape of the average total cost is the summation of average fixed cost, which is red line, plus green line, that is average variable cost. So red line plus green line is equal to blue line, and that makes this shape of average total cost. AFC, average fixed cost, plus average variable cost is equal to average total cost. Now, understand, as the firm output rises, now here you are increasing the output on the x-axis. As the output rises, total fixed cost is being spread over an increasing number of units. Now, if you have seen here, total cost is 60. Earlier it was 0, so it was 60 only. Now it was 1, so it became 60, then 2. The total case was 60 only. And when the output was 6, at the time also the fixed cost was 60 only. So now that 60, which was here in this case.
So are you talking?
Huh?
Were you talking?
You can't hear me?
Now I can, but I think it cut out for a second.
Okay. Okay. No issue. Now here they say that whenever the fixed cost is there, fixed cost as the output increases, the same fixed cost, because it is not increasing, it is divided. Earlier it was 1 output, then it was 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So as you go on increasing your output, your fixed cost, average fixed cost will come down. That they want to convey it to you here in this. So as you go on increasing the output over here on x-axis, your average fixed cost, that is the red line, will always fall down. Because the total fixed cost being spread over an increasing number of units. However, at the same time, average variable cost will be rising because of diminishing return to the variable factor. Eventually, this will outweigh the effect of falling AFC, causing average total cost to rise. From here to here, mark something extric or anything, which is a very important 2-mark question or 4-mark question. It has been asked. Why average total cost is having a typical shape? And this gives the classic U shape to the average total cost curve. On a graph of cost data, the marginal cost will always cross or intersect ABC and ATC at their lowest point. Say, marginal cost here, if you can see the black line, the marginal cost is intersecting average variable cost and average total cost at their lowest. Wherever they are lowest, their marginal cost will be intersecting ABC, that is average variable cost, and average total cost. Again, I will read that. On a graph on the cost data, the marginal cost will always, underline kar liye, marginal cost will always cross average variable cost and average total cost at the lowest point. In this situation, the most efficient output for the firm will be where the unit cost is lowest. This is known as the optimum output. Optimum output. Optimum output is the output where the cost or the unit cost, marginal cost, is at the lowest. It is where the firm is productively efficient. What is productive efficiency? To produce the goods and services at the lowest minimum cost. In the short run, the most efficient output is not necessarily the most profitable output. Since profit maximization may only be the possible in the long run only. For a firm wishing to maximize its profit, its chosen output will depend on the relationship between the revenue and its cost. So whenever the firm want to maximize the profit, then it will depend upon the cost and the revenue that they are earning. What is optimum output? Optimum output, underline this also, where the most efficient output, this is also known as optimum output, underline it. Because here, when your marginal cost is intersecting average variable cost and average total cost at the lowest, because this is the cost, and then we will marginal cost and marginal revenue. When we will find out that, at that time we will find out what will be the output which will be produced by the firm to maximize that profit. Any doubt, any problem, any questions? Because you are keeping too much silent, bacha, and I get scared.
No, I don't think so. Because like it's not that difficult now.
Mm.
I don't think I
Now,
have it.
now we were the short run we have understood. Short run is where at least one factor is variable, and that is generally labor, and at least one factor of production is fixed. Now we are moving from short run to the long run, where in the long run the definition itself says that in long run all the factor of productions are variable. There is no fixed cost. Remember it. There is no fixed cost. All the costs are variable. So there, one second, I'll show you. Here they have not given to you. So I will show you over here. Yeah. No, total revenue on. Yeah, so yeah. Long run total cost. Can you see this? Long run total cost and long run average cost are same. Average variable cost. Variable cost and total cost are same because there is no fixed cost.
What are you showing? What are you showing?
This you can see.
Now I can see. Before it had frozen.
Okay, okay. So now you can see the total cost curve. Okay. What has happened, bacha? This is the long run total cost. And in long run, there is no fixed cost. All the costs are variable cost. So the total cost curve and total variable cost curve is same because there is no fixed cost. So variable cost is the total cost, and that's why there is no fixed cost. That is the definition of long run. Now we are moving from short run to long run. As stated above, the short run is a period of time in economics when at least one of the factor of production is fixed. The factor that tends to be easiest to change is labor, as we already seen. The factor takes longest to change is capital. Students often ask the question, how long is the short run? This is not an easy question to answer. As it's, sorry, ये underline it so you will get it. At least one factor of production is fixed. And generally, variable factors are labor and fixed factors are capital. Now, how long is the short run? That is not an easy question to answer here, they say, as it tends to differ from different industry to industry. In the clothing industry, it is likely to be no more than a few weeks. The time that is taken to install new machines and to get them operational to produce clothing. In other industry, it will be much longer. A country, a country building a new hydroelectronic power station will, for example, take much longer time, longer to plan, install, and make such a new facility operational. 10 years may be a realistic estimate in this case. This time is still referred as the short run. since capital is fixed over this time. So the short run is not defined in terms of specific period of time. It refers to the time when not all factor of productions are variable. Underline this line. So the short run is not the defined in terms of specific time period, but it refers to the time when not all factors of production are variable and at least one factor of production is fixed. Clear? Okay. One second, bacha. What they are saying? Okay, there will be 3 lectures of. Okay, okay. Now, all factors of productions, underline this also, all factor of productions are variable in long run. Variable means they are not fixed. They can be changed. They can be altered. They can be modified. This gives the firm more greater scope to vary the respective mix of the factor input so that it is producing at the most efficient level. So now, earlier in the short run, I cannot change capital if capital is fixed. But in longer terms, in the long run, I can change land, labor, capital, even owners. I can change enterprise also. So when all the factors are variable, the firm get an opportunity to change the combination of factor of production, whether to use more of capital or whether to use more of labor or to use more of land, which way the production should be carried out so that the production can be effective. So here they say if capital becomes relatively cheaper than labor, or if a new production process is invented and then increasing productivity, then firm can reorganize the way in which they produce. So whatever changes they want to bring in short run, it is not possible. But in long run, because all the factor of productions are variable, it is easy for firms to reorganize the combination. They want to install new machinery or new capital invented or automation or any production method that can increase the efficiency of the firm, they can introduce them. Firms must therefore know the cost of the factor of production they use and see these in relation to additional product that occur. And for that purpose, what is known, bacha? This is very important line. Whenever firm wants to change anything, for example, Dada decide that you are not going to stay in Rutamzi Oza, you are going to go to Overall Exquisite. Okay. Now, when you are changing, so Dada should consider all the cost that will be incurred by him if you are changing all factors of production. So first, for that purpose, in the firm also, when you are in the long run, you are making any changes or alteration or modification in the combination of factors of production, then all the cost involved in that must be known. Otherwise, what will happen? Knowing cost is quite easy in the case of labor. If you say labor, you can be very easy. You can say that if I'm going to labor cost is 100 rupees per day. So if I'm using 5 labor, it will be 500. If I'm using 50 labor, it will be 5,000 rupees. So it is very easy to understand. And some other basic inputs. But it is more difficult to estimate for the other factor of production. The best combination of factors can be arrived at the price vary as their price varies. Now, when you will like to change the combination of factors of production in long run, when the price that you are paying to the factor of production, that is the payment that is being made to the factors of production, that go on changing. For example, wages change, rent change, or anything else change. Then there will be change in the long run. The firm should aim to be a position where marginal product of factor A divided by price of factor A should be equal to marginal product of factor B divided the price of factor B should be equal to marginal production of factor C divided the price of factor C. कुछ याद आया इसके ऊपर से आपको? I will show you.
MUA upon PA is equal to MUV upon PD.
That is equimarginal principle you are doing when you are a consumer. So you try to have the marginal utility of A product divided by the price of A should be equal to the marginal utility derived by you from the consumption of B divided by the price of B, and the say and it goes on. Here it has been said to you that marginal product of factor A. When you are a producer, you will try to have MP, not MU. You are not going to have marginal utility, because marginal utility is while you are doing the consumption, from the consumption of that product. Marginal product you will calculate when you are a producer. So MP of A divided by price of A, factor A means either land. So MP of land divided by the price of land is equal to MP of B divided the price of B. It should be equal to MP of labor or capital divided the price of the capital. So on the basis of that, you will try to come to a conclusion. The producer will try to come to a conclusion what combination they should be using. As we are having, our PPC shows that different combination of the goods that we can have it, right? So I can have 20 of good A and 2 of good B, or I will decrease A and increase B. Anything I can do. The same way here, to increase land or to increase labor or to increase capital, which will be derived by MP of factor A divided by price of A, it should be equal to MP of B divided by price of B, and so on. For all factor of production they use. For them to be able to do this, all factor of must be variable. If you want to arrive at this, so they should be variable. If they are fixed, they are not going to be moved, then it will be constant. So that is not possible over here. So, and for this purpose, to calculate MP of factor A divided by the price of A, I should have all my factors of all 4 factors of production should be variable, and this is only possible in long run. If we go back to the principle introduced in figure 7.6, it is possible to derive the long run production function for a firm by initially constructing an isoquant map. Remember isoquant? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, remember isoquant? Yes.
Yeah.
So in this way, I can draw out long run, but long run production function for a firm initially construct the isoquant map. This shows the different combination of labor and capital. We have seen that X, Y, and Z. If I'm using equal of labor and capital, or if I'm using more of capital and less of labor, or if I'm using more of labor and less of capital, then I will try to see where I will be able to produce, for example, 100 clothes. Then we join that point. So that becomes my isoquant. That becomes my isoquant. This shows the different combination of labor and capital that can be used to produce various level of output. Now this is shown in 7.9. Now these are the isoquants all. Labor, this side it is capital and this side it is labor. Let us again assume that this is for a clothing manufacturer. Figure 7.9a, this one, first one that they are talking about it, consists of a collection of isoquant for output 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500 units of production. See, this. If I want to produce, so if I tell you, bacha, I cannot draw over here. Otherwise, I would have drawn from here. I can see capital. If you draw from 0 to this angle at 45 degree, it will be equally labor and capital used. And if you go on the right hand side, that is toward the x-axis, you can say the isoquant tells me more of labor. So if I want to produce only 100, the light blue line shows me this is it. This much will be the isoquant, which will tell me I will have to use labor and capital. Okay. Okay. So from this, it is possible to read of the respective combination of labor and capital that can produce this output level 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. Remember that this is one looking at the output from a physical standpoint. If you look at the diagram carefully, you will see that the production increases from 100 to 200. Relatively less capital and labor is required per unit of output. I'll show you. This is referred as increasing return of scale. As production expands further, increasing amount of capital and labor are needed to produce 100 more units and so move up to the next isoquant. In contrast, it increase decreasing return of scale. Now, if you see, Princess, here in the 7.9a, you can see clearly that there is a light blue line, then the black line, dark blue line, green line, and red line. The beauty is that when you move from 100 to 200 units of output, you want to increase your production from 100 to 200. So definitely you will be requiring more of capital, more of labor, more of investment. So initially, there is an increasing return of scale to 100 to 200 to 300. The gap between the 100 to 200 and 300 is very small. But after 300, if you still want to increase your production, the gaps are increasing. If you see 300 to 400, 400 to 500, the gaps of isoquant which are there, 100, 200, and 300 are parallel and very near to each other. But that is increasing return of scale. But after reaching to a point, if the still business want to expand, they will have diminishing return of scale. That means the cost will be going on increasing, because then the more labor wages have to be paid, more interest will have to be paid, more rent will have to be paid by the firm, and that will increase the cost in long run. See, increasing return of scale is what? Between 100 to 200 to 300, where output increasing at a proportionally faster rate than increasing factor inputs. Whatever inputs you are using, the proportion used between the input and the output is faster than input, then you have increasing return. But where input is faster than output, where factor input increase at a proportionally faster rate than the increase in output, the ratio of input and output, initially the firm enjoys increasing return of scale, where the proportion of output is more as compared to input. So that is called increasing, that is a beneficiary. But after a certain point, the firm still goes on increasing the output of the firm. Then proportion of input will be more and the output will be lesser. So that is called diminishing or decreasing return of skin. Doubt, problem. You are very silent today, princess.
No, I'm just looking sick. No, that's it. For a few days I have been.
Okay. Then we will end it over here as it is because it is a new thing that we are going to learn. That is a cost in the long run that we are going to learn. So we end it over here. Remember this. From here, page number 154, we have to start.
Okay.
Take care
Decreasing
and
return of skin.
and take care and get well soon, bacha. Get well soon.
So you also take care.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye bye.